My name is AJ Spatola with Most Amazing, and these are the top 10 scariest last confessions from truly evil people. Coming up first at number 10 is Carl Panzram, a guy who took crime to a whole new level. You see, for 18 years, he made crime his full-time job, robbing, and ending people's lives all over the place, even across countries and oceans. Nobody even knew who he was until 1928, when he spilled the beans on his own horrific life. In a seriously grim autobiography, he admitted to unaliving 21 people, committing countless robberies, and even committing SA to over 1,000 guys. And guess what? He felt zero remorse for any of it. He straight up hated everybody, including himself. His only friend was his jailer, Henry Lesser. They met in jail where Panzram was locked up for trying to steal a stolen radio. He bragged about way worse stuff though, like his habit of ending people to, quote, reform them. This is super crazy. At first, everybody in jail thought he was just trying to show off, considering he was only there for petty theft. But then, he spilled details about 3 unsolved unalivings, making it clear that he was no ordinary criminal. Turns out his messed up life started early. Born poor in 1891, he got into trouble young and was sent to a harsh reformatory where things only got worse. As he grew up, he jumped from place to place, learning crime tricks along the way. Even when he joined the army, he got booted out for not working. Prison didn't change him either. He just learned to say what people wanted to hear to get out. His crimes got seriously twisted when he stole from a big shot who once punished him. With the loot, he bought a boat and then went on an unaliving spree worldwide. He'd get people drunk, them, then shoot them and dump their bodies in the sea, sometimes relying on crocodiles to consume all the evidence. After getting caught for the small aforementioned crime, he went on trial and got 25 years in prison. But he messed up again by ending a guard. At his final trial, he didn't even defend himself, admitting he was guilty. He showed no fear when he was hanged, leaving behind a brutal legacy that took decades to tell. At number 9 is Albert Fish. Imagine reading a detailed letter from your family member's tormentor detailing the events leading to your loved one's demise. Pretty gruesome. Albert Fish confessed to unspeakable crimes, and he earned names like the Gray Man and the Brooklyn Vampire due to his horrifying deeds. He described in shocking detail how he asphyxiated, cooked, and consumed a youth named Grace Budd. It's hard to fathom such cruelty. This man not only ended lives, but also claimed to have taken 9 days to eat Grace's entire body. The gruesomeness of his actions is beyond comprehension. Police used the information on the stationery paper Fish used to locate and detain him. Fish never denied the crime. He was executed by electric chair in 1936 in New York's Sing Sing Correctional Facility. If you're enjoying this video so far, please support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. At number 8 is Richard Kuklinski. Richard Kuklinski was a hitman. You know, somebody who, well, ended lives for money. He was called the Iceman. So in this interview back in 91, he talked about one time where he gave a guy he was going to end some time to pray to God, thinking that maybe God could change things. He gave the guy 30 minutes saying, hey, if God's going to save you, this is going to be the moment. But guess what? Nothing happened. No divine intervention, no God showing up like in the movies. Kuklinski later said that he felt bad about that one. Pretty chilling. This guy who did all kinds of terrible things felt regret for that one particular unaliving. At number 7, Samuel Little was no ordinary guy. Born in Georgia, he didn't have an easy start. His mom reportedly left him, and he grew up with his grandma. School wasn't his thing, so he dropped out and started wandering around. Trouble seemed to follow him everywhere. He did all sorts of bad stuff. Between 1957 and 75, he got arrested 26 times in 11 states. Stealing, fighting, and even more serious things like SA and trying to end somebody. He was like a magnet for problems. In 82, they thought he ended a woman named Melina Lepre, but they couldn't prove it, so he got off the hook. Then there were more serious incidents, attacking a woman, stealing, driving under the influence. He just couldn't stay out of trouble. The only steady thing in his life was his girlfriend, Aurelia, who he met in jail. People later suspected she knew about his crimes, as they traveled a lot together, and she rented rooms that matched the places where unalivings happened. He finally got caught in 2012 for substances, and when they checked his DNA, they found connections to 3 unsolved unalivings. He denied it, but got locked up for life. Later, he started confessing to a lot more. Like, a lot more. He admitted to at least 93 unalivings. It's scary because he was so good at making it look like they died from something else. But DNA evidence wasn't a thing back then, so some cases were hard to prove. His confessions shocked everyone, and the FBI confirmed at least 50 of those unalivings. At number 6 is James Brewer. Imagine you commit a terrible act like taking somebody's life. Now, imagine carrying around that secret for 30 years. That's what James Brewer did after ending his neighbor Jimmy Carroll. He and his wife then ran away, forged new identities, and even got involved in church activities. But here's the plot twist. You see, Brewer thought he was going to kick the bucket pretty soon due to a stroke he was having, so he decided to spill the beans. His wife brought the police, thinking that he was about to confess before passing away. But surprise, surprise, he survived. Could you imagine holding on to such a secret just to give it away and then having to actually get punished for it? That confession must have been a roller coaster for everybody involved. Moral of the story, secrets have a way of catching up even when you think you're in the clear. At number 5 is Mark Chopper Reed, a notorious figure in Australia's underground scene who gained fame through his books and the movie inspired by his life. Despite spending 23 years in jail for various crimes, including and armed robbery, he was suspected of involvement in multiple unalivings. Before passing away from liver cancer in 2013, Reed opened up in an interview with 60 Minutes. Shockingly, he admitted to 4 unalivings. He described 3 shootings and confessed to hanging a fellow inmate in his cell. When asked about his feelings, he showed no regret, saying he felt nothing at all. It's eerie how somebody could talk about such dark deeds without even a hint of remorse. At number 4 is Jeffery Dhamer, known for doing some truly unspeakable things, specifically eating parts of the people he ended the lives of, which is so horrifying. Before facing capital punishment, he said some seriously disturbing stuff, like he talked about how he wanted to control people forever, keeping body parts of those he met. He even mentioned that expiring people wasn't the main thing for him. He just wanted total control over somebody. As a matter of fact, many of the unalivings he committed, wherein he would take a drill to the victim's head and fill their noggins up with uric acid, were actually just attempts at creating living zombies. He said, quote, "I wanted to have a person under my complete control, not having to consider their wishes, being able to keep them there as long as I wanted," end quote. He also talked about not feeling accountable to anyone or anything, not even to what some people might call God. He thought that without that belief, there's no reason to behave or keep in line. It's like he didn't see any point in being good because of his beliefs, which is super creepy. Also, fun fact, Dahmer wouldn't eat anybody with tattoos. At number 3, Wesley Bernard. In Florida, there's this retired hero named Sergeant Confessor Gonzalez, which is such a fitting name if I do say so myself. He spent more than 25 years chasing bad guys for the Miami Police Department. But there was this one time in 2010 when he had a tough nut of a case. A woman got unalived during a purse snatching, and the police had only blurry footage to work with. They needed a confession. Now, Sergeant Confessor Gonzalez had this no-nonsense style that got results. He knew the guy was guilty, but just needed to coax it out of him. Finally, after some nudging, Wesley Bernard Henton spilled everything about how he shot and ended this 55-year-old woman named Jocelyn Augustin. Turns out she was just trying to get some warm clothes because she had lost her job. Henton got nailed for her unaliving and got a 35-year sentence. Now, he might get out in 2050, let's hope he doesn't. At number 2 is Richard Ramirez, who was one scary guy. They called him the Night Stalker because he terrorized Southern California in the mid-80s by ending and attacking a whole bunch of people, like more than a dozen, in really brutal ways. He received the lethal sentence, but before they threw the book at him, he said some crazy stuff in court. Like, he claimed that Lucifer, as in the devil himself, was in everyone. He was all cocky and weird, saying things like, quote, "You don't get it. You can't get it. I'm beyond doing evil," end quote. He even told people not to repeat the mistakes he made, which led to his conviction, and showed zero remorse for his actions. He was convicted of a bunch of stuff like 13 unalivings, lots of other criminal crimes like SA and burglary. The dude was nuts, leaving satanic symbols at the places he messed up, and even gouging eyeballs out once. And get this, during his trial, he would flash a pentagram and shout out, "Hail Satan." Pretty classy. The jury recommended the unaliving penalty, and Ramirez just didn't care. He said, quote, "Big deal. Death comes with the territory. See you in Disneyland." Jeez, that guy was real sinister till his last breath. At number 1 is the Snowplow. In Ukraine not too long ago, a man dialed to local authorities and confessed to a heinous crime, stabbing his mother's partner. But here's the twist. He also asked the police to bring a snowplow because the snow obstructing his driveway made it really hard to reach him. The police were quick to respond, only to find out that the supposed victim was unharmed. As it turns out, the confession was just a ploy to get the cops to clear the snow around his place. place. You see, he was supposed to shovel it himself, but he was too lazy. So he figured if he faked the crime, the police would clear the snow for him. Well, his plan ended up backfiring big time. Now he's in trouble for wasting police resources. It's a bizarre and somewhat understandable situation, but the law doesn't take kindly to crying wolf, or in this case, crying unaliving. Yeah, today's video was super messed up, so I wanted to end things on something a little more lighthearted. As always, if there's an evil confession that you think I missed, feel free to let me know down in the comments. This has been AJ with Most Amazing, and I'll catch you all in another video. Peace out.